Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Marriage Alive. I'm Kerese.
And I'm Carlyle. We've been married for 3 years. We dated, I guess. We did it for 4 years. And, well, the entire thing was long distance. So we did it for 4 years. We were long distance for that 4 years.
I think an important thing for me has been, interestingly, in order for me to stay connected to you emotionally, I had to have my spaces to connect with my friends. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So I had to have those spaces where it wasn't just about you. So there was a time when we were apart and I telling this boy, I feeling lonely. I miss you. I just want somebody to talk to and whatnot. And he was busy. He was genuinely busy. He had something going on at the time. And he said, babe, I can't talk right now. Why don't call your mother and talk to she? I was so upset. You telling me call my mother? I don't want to talk to my mother right now. I love my mother. I don't want to talk to mommy. I want to talk to my husband. And as soon as he left, I was upset. I was hurt. But I knew also. So I had all these emotions going on. I want to respect his space. I want to respect that he's got this amazing opportunity that's happening for him. It's something really important, But I also have these needs of wanting to connect with you at this particular time. And then as soon as he left, a friend of mine messaged me and she just asked, what are you doing? And I said, I'm feeling really sad, feeling really lonely, really missing Carlyle and whatnot. And that began our Friday night movie nights that were just for us, the two of us girls.
Mm-hmm.
You were not a part of it. You weren't invited. It had nothing to do with you. And that was exactly what I needed, actually, to have that space to connect with her, to have our own thing going on, to watch our chick flicks, and to not feel like I needed to rely on you for everything, because you can't meet all of my needs, and God doesn't need you to meet all of my needs. I have friends for friend things, and I have you for best friend and husband things. Yeah. So I think having girlfriends that I could vent to as well, safe spaces. I always say that I have avoided saying lots of stupid things to you because I've been able to vent to my girlfriends, who would then say, I hope you ain't gonna tell Carla this nonsense you just told me. Because we have irrational thoughts. And I have two friends who are both married Christians, who are very much committed to marriage, and they're very open with me about their own marriages and all that. And they're always willing to listen. And that's been a real important thing in helping me to get those frustrations out whenever they come, because they will come, so that I can get perspective, clear the air, and then be able to come to you with the resolutions. So I'll still share those things with him. I don't keep those things from you.
And sometimes she still share with me also the things that she was going to say. And then we laugh about it.
And then we laugh about it. Because by that time, it's not being said with, all of the anger and malice and all those things. Yeah. So finding safe spaces to get those things out whenever they do come.
It's interesting because these things are not only things you would do in a long distance relationship. They're things that you could be doing or you should be doing.
In any
relationship. You look like this. And something I thought about earlier was like, you need to decide beforehand if both of you can or are willing to do a long distance relationship, because some people just can't, right? So some people just can't, and some people just know they for whatever reason they just don't think it would work out, right?
Or they're just not willing.
Or they're not just willing, right? So if you're dating, I guess at this point in time, depending on the opportunity or the reason why you're going long distance, maybe you may need to part your ways, right? But if you're married, that could be, I guess you need to put your marriage as priority at that point. So it can be tough, especially if it's a really good opportunity. But what's worth more to you, the opportunity, or the opportunity, or the other hand was off screen. The opportunity, so it couldn't look like I was weighing anything. The opportunity or the marriage.
I do want to acknowledge, here that there were people who were very skeptical about your the opportunity that was presented to you.
Mhm.
You guys are going to be apart. This is marriage now, it's not dating. And I remember being at this event where I was just talking about the fact that here was something there was no doubt that the door that was open before you was a God door. It was something that the Lord himself had orchestrated all of the events. There was also no doubt in my heart and mind that God wanted me to stay behind. And this doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. It just made sense to me and to us. And so that was not part of my issue. My issue was just, I was asking this group of women, married women, what advice would you give to me as a young wife? Because we had only been married for like a year and a half, I think, at that time, when you were preparing to come back to the UK. What advice would you give to a young wife who was preparing to be apart from her husband and all that? When I tell you doom and gloom, oh my goodness, the conference just what's that word? There was an uproar of
negative opinions.
Maybe there were two people though, and there was one lady said something to me that really stayed with me. She said, she had been through a similar experience of having to be apart from her husband. And she said, when there is a something that God wants to heal or perfect in you, he will remove something from your life temporarily so that he can heal and perfect that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to allow myself to be open to that kind of thinking and wondering. And I realized at that moment, and I think in moments after, as I really sat and kind of mulled over it, that I had this fear of what life would be like without you. And a lot of that is tied to my own family history and all those things. I have this fear, and I remembered going home from the airport, driving home with my whole escort, his whole family, everybody was there. I had a car in front of me, a car behind me, and I'm in there, going home. And it felt like death. It really did. It felt like I was going home after the funeral to the empty house. So I had the dogs and whatnot, but there was no Carlyle. And I sat in the driveway, and I was just really overwhelmed by this sense of missing you, this loss that I was dealing with. And that was, I think, a real opportunity for me to really cling to the Lord and to really lean on God for his comfort. I remember the night, so Guyana gets lots of blackouts. So I'm there trying to get myself together. And in the midst of all this, my first night there, blackout, and when we get blackout, it's like pitch black. So I'm in this house by myself, well, with the dogs and the cat. And in this dark house, my husband is not there and he's not coming home. Okay. And I remember just telling myself, I'm going by my mother's house. I'm packing up. I'm going back. And then I actually sat there and I had to really talk to myself and say, you know what, Kerese, you're going to get through this first night. You are going to sit in this darkness and you are going to trust God to take care of you, because even when your husband was here, it was God who was protecting the two of y'all. It was God who was keeping you alive, keeping you sane, keeping you safe and all that. And God hasn't gone anywhere. Your husband's gone for a time, but you're going to be okay. And that it was a real period of me just trusting God. And there were other things that happened that even confirmed further that it was God's will for me to be there. But even being able to be at my father's bedside when he died and being able to lead him back to the Lord, those were opportunities that I could not have had if I was able to come with you. So what I'm saying is that if God calls you to a period of separateness for whatever reason, there's wisdom, there is value, there is joy and frustration and loneliness and worry and fear in learning to trust God to take care of you during that period. And there's nothing, I think, that could really surpass that. I guess I also remembered in that moment, in those moments of really sometimes bawling my eyes out and just saying, oh God, how am I going to do this without my husband? You know, because we're really close. We do enjoy spending lots of time together. It's just the two of us. We don't have kids yet. But I remembered after that day of listening to all these negative comments from these women, and I'm saying, this could never be God. One lady even said that this could never be the Lord. You have to check and see and make sure y'all could be together because you're young and you're married and you need to have this and that and this and that and that, the other in place. And I remembered God just quietly whispering to me, I am more committed to keeping you together as a married couple, or I'm just as committed rather to keeping you together as a married couple as I was to bringing you together in courtship, to sustaining you in courtship and all that, because I love your marriage. I am committed to your marriage. So I am going to, it is I who keep this, together. And that's been a really important thing to remember. Were there any additional boundaries that were put in place due to the long distance nature of the relationship?
We just carried on as usual.
Yeah.
Then we just checked in, talked. Nothing formal.
Yeah.
But that's not how we operate. People like set things in stone. Kerese doesn't like rules anyway. So.
No. Yeah, there were people who were, again, I think that was the fear that lots of women had, and it might, I'm sure the fear is justified, but I was very careful to guard myself against that experience of absorbing other people's fears. People, were really afraid of Carlyle coming here and meeting some woman and getting married or moving on with his life or having an affair or something. And I just don't have those fears of you stepping out of our marriage. It's just not something that I I just don't I trust you a lot. And I think that is a real huge part of why I'm able to why I have been able to be apart from you in those times. If there is something that comes up, I think our principle is just open communication. We talk about stuff. If there have been times when I have found other people attractive, and I tell them what I'm gonna do, pretend like the people don't exist.
You're blind when you get
blind.
You're blind.
Yeah, and I would say to him, I really think this guy is attractive, and we acknowledge it and we move on. So we don't allow, I guess, those kinds of things to hold us back. So we've not felt the need to like put boundaries in place in that kind of way.
It's the same marriage. It's the same marriage. I guess that's how we. So because of technology and all these things, we're not waiting 6 months for a letter to arrive or anything of the sort, right? And with technology, you always, it's like a global village basically. So you're always connected. So I think the same way you operate in the same country, you should operate in the same way in the different, if you're long distance. If you're together in the same country and you have these rules, if you're going long distance, keep the same rules, right? So we basically operated the same way we operate while we were in person, because that's just how we are. Some people in the same country cheat with people in the same office, right? Yeah. So it doesn't matter.
The same house too.
What?
The same house?
What? Anyway, okay, yeah.
You don't watch Hallmark?
No, I don't watch Hallmark.
Lifetime.
Yeah, so I just think it's the same marriage, it's the same two people. I just operate as normal, whatever normal looks like for you. But I guess that's given that you have a good foundation.
Yeah. I think we already answered this. Were there any fun or random things you did to show love from a distance? So I guess gifts. We always remembered like special days, Valentine's Day, my birthday.
For the anniversary, I sent her an entire cake, and she didn't want to share the cake with anybody.
I didn't.
Did you share it?
I barely. I told them. I said, okay. My husband sent me a cake.
I had it delivered with flowers and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was lovely. And I ate my chocolate cake from the 16th of December all the way to New Year's. It was New Year's. Because remember, just me. And people would come and say, you want a piece of cake? But I ain't sending no cake by nobody. And no, it's my cake, it's my anniversary. Did you get married? No. So yeah, it was really, finding those ways to make it special. And I think having people who love us around was really crucial. You had your siblings were always part of the club, the delivery club. So, just having people around who are interested in us was a really huge part of it.
And this is Marriage Life.